It's Thursday, November 6th, and I wanted to take one last look at my garden before I get all of the row covers up. I've already put some up, and then I realized I should make one more video before the year's over showing what is still available in my garden in Virginia for harvesting in November and what's already growing and getting ready for a spring harvest in 2026. So come on in, take a look with me. Wall bed 1 has a late fall planting of spinach and lettuce. So these are all the spinaches. If it stays warm enough during the days and not super freezing at night, these will keep growing, especially on warm days, and then I will be able to harvest off of these throughout winter. And that is some winter lettuce that I've planted, just to see if I can get any to make it through. I will be row covering this, and that will help. I also still have these pimento plants in this bed. I'm not sure if they're ripening anything. I should probably go ahead and pull them. They're green, but I think the nights are getting too cold for them to get much more ripe. So those are going to go, and that will empty out the rest of that bed. These are just calendula that reseeded themselves. I expect them to die over winter. We'll see. I've never tried having a fall planting of calendula. Wall bed 2 needs to be refilled. We have dumped some coffee grounds in there, but what's left in this bed are green beans that I have just let go to seed. So I'm going to harvest those probably tomorrow and let them finish drying inside. Hopefully they'll make good seed for next year. Wall bed 3 has been emptied and filled. Wall bed 4 has some spatterings of spinach. What's left of the carrots that the kids and the deer haven't eaten. I tugged this one out earlier just to take a look at it. That is a nice big carrot. So I will definitely get those out before Sabbath tomorrow. Get them stored in the fridge. Wall bed 5 has been emptied and refilled. Let me lift these covers up real quick so you can see what's under here. Wall bed 6 has spinach. Some of it's worth harvesting in the next week or two, and the rest will just keep growing during the winter. Wall bed 7 are more of my ever-bearing strawberries. If you've grown strawberries, you know they don't actually need to be covered over winter. They will just go dormant and come back in the spring. I have these covered just to help keep the deer off because this is the far side of the garden. And the deer can easily creep out of the woods without the dogs noticing. And earlier in the fall, they were really enjoying nibbling on these strawberry plants, so I had to replant them. Wall bed 8 still has pimentos that I'm going to harvest the rest of. And these are volunteer potatoes. I don't expect to get anything from them, but I'll dig them up and see probably tomorrow. And there were some overgrown sweet potatoes that came from this bed and rooted themselves here. And you can see where the deer have nibbled that. They love the greens of sweet potatoes. So I don't expect anything from that. I'm just going to empty this bed out and get it refilled. This is wall bed 9. This is where I put in a late planting of spinach. 2 rows of spinach over here, 2 rows of kale here. This was about 5 weeks ago at the beginning of October. And they are coming along nicely. I don't know how much the little greens on the spinach side show up in the footage, but if they all keep growing and nothing kills them, they'll do fine. The kale was thick. They were from my seeds, and I didn't know how well they would germinate, seeds that I saved from previous years. So I seeded them thicker than usual. They did great germinating. So I have gone through with scissors and been clipping some of the kale plants to try and thin them out. So if you see little greens dried up laying over on their sides, that's where the kale had been clipped. And wall bed 10 has my oldest standing lettuce. I seeded these in rows back in late summer. And when these were coming up, there's 2 different ones. This is crisp mint, and I don't remember this one. It might be Little Jim, I don't know, cause lettuce, I'm not sure. Doesn't matter, I just eat it. When they were small plants, we would just harvest the outer leaves. But now that they're getting bigger, I've been coming in and clipping out entire heads of lettuce. It kind of thins things out in the middle. It lets the other ones keep growing. So we've been having lots of salads, taco salads, lettuce on sandwiches. Good stuff. Wall bed 11 is some spinach that you saw me transplanting in a recent video. Just trying to get more spinach spread out in different areas. It looks about half of them took. We'll see if they keep growing. I'm going to cover them up because we are expecting 20-degree nights. In 3 or 4 nights, there'll be some 20-degree nights. Wall bed 12 has our garlic for next year. And then it ends with kale. I've been harvesting from this pretty heavily for smoothies. So I'm hoping my other kale gets growing pretty well in the next 4 to 6 weeks, because I might demolish the rest of this kale. All right, 13, 14, and 15 are already covered, but I'll let you take a peek. This is a spinach bed. And between this one and the other one that I'm about to show you, I get about a pound of spinach 2 times a week. So 2 pounds total with the size of the spinach right now. The little ones, obviously, I'm not harvesting from just yet. We are currently eating more spinach than that, so I am having to buy some still. But I'm hoping to get my spinach game up again like it was in previous years. Here is more of the same lettuce that's in the other bed. It's just a little younger. Here's my other spinach bed that's been helping me get up to a pound every picking. And some of these are big and some of these are younger, so they should be producing more and more over the next few weeks. Wall bed 16 has transplanted strawberry plants from this fall, so they're kind of small, and a volunteer spinach. And then the rest of our ever-bearing strawberries. Quinault strawberries. I say this wrong a lot. I'm pretty sure it's Quinault. Those are the ever-bearings that we grow. And let me show you. We are still getting strawberries in November. Probably twice a week I can come out and get a small bowl full that we can enjoy. Oh look, yellow jackets are enjoying this one. Let's throw that away. That one's been nibbled. Delish. And the last bed here has some more spinach that I transplanted. It's probably been a month or more. And they are growing on the warm days, but they just pause their growing when it gets too cold. But I do expect to be able to start harvesting from these, I would say probably in 2 weeks. Maybe 3 if we have too many cold nights. So those are the wall beds. And the ground beds over here, ground beds 1 through 8, have all been refilled with compost for the fall. This is the last plant that hasn't been picked. It's a yellow bell pepper, I think. So just hoping they would ripen before I have to pull them and before frost completely kills them. They have been fine on the 30-degree nights. This is a red bell pepper. And they are still ripening. And there's one not ripe. We don't like green peppers. We like ripe peppers. So I'm hoping they ripen all the way. We'll see. I'll probably end up having to pick them on Sunday before the 20s come. Otherwise, ground bed 9 just has a dead basil, dying echinacea, some weeds, basil, another patch of tiny bell peppers. Nope, these are tiny pimentos, but I'm not getting anything from these right now, so I might as well cut them up, give them to the chickens. And these are the volunteer pimentos that came up in the spring. Alrighty. Ground bed 10 has been emptied. There's just a volunteer of something there. Maybe a tomato plant. And just the regular winter weeds that need to come out. And a dahlia at the end. I'm going to have to move that dahlia this year. It just gets so much shade from the stand. It has to get so tall to catch the sun. And then it leans over and I just don't get as many pretty flowers. So if this survives the winter, I'm going to replant it in the spring. Ground bed 11 still has our last remaining tomato plant. I am not harvesting from that anymore. It needs to be thrown out to the chickens. And we've got volunteer onions and broccoli in this last bed. These were transplanted, so these broccoli heads are still a little bit smaller. But I have been clipping and eating from them. Oh, there's a nice size one. So ground bed 12 just still has all of my irrigation that I haven't done anything with. And I have taken down the towers that I was growing strawberries in. I've kept these with the strawberries in them since they're still bearing fruit. And my plan is to transplant these strawberry plants in the spring into the wall beds that have blanks, need more plants to fill in. And then I will be gifting this tower set to a friend. So there's the rest over there. And my other tower set is also being used as a gift. I took my peonies that were up there next to the house because I just forget to go over there a lot and water stuff. And because that's the southern side of the house, it gets really hot and these were suffering. I also wasn't getting over there to weed as much as I should have. So I went ahead and I moved them to the end rows of these two beds. There's one peony and here are two more. Just because I wanted to add some color to the garden and I wanted to make sure they were in a place where I could take care of them because my focus is really in this area. It's hard for me to add the extra space all the time to keep up with. Ground bed 13 has all of the cauliflower. I've only found one plant so far in here that has a good size head forming. Can you see that? I can't tell on the camera because there's light behind me. Anyway, that's the only head I found. We are expecting 2 nights in a row in the 20s. I think in the next 3 or 4 nights. It's like Sunday night, early Monday morning they start. So I don't know if the cauliflower is going to survive. I'm not going to row cover it. We'll just see. I will cut off the head that's growing to have that for food. The rest we'll see if it survives and it can produce anything. I was probably 3 weeks late starting these seeds this year compared to when I normally start cauliflower and broccoli. Wall bed 14 has a dying dahlia that can be clipped up and thrown away, and this is another row of broccoli. So the broccoli plants should make it through winter. It really just depends on how cold our winter gets. So I will leave them up to see if anything grows before spring, any more heads develop. So that's it. That's what's happening inside the garden. You can see the asparagus back there still is expected to be clipped or burned. We'll drop all the greenery in the beds and then we'll cover those beds with compost. Here, let me show you. So compost settles over time, and also the microbes and the bugs and the plants are all eating the stuff in the compost. So it lowers in the beds over time. So what we'll do is drop all the stuff, burn it, and then we'll fill the compost up. It's down a good 4 inches in this one, maybe 4 or 5 inches. We'll top it back off with compost this winter. And then my meadow beds in the back only have a few weeds in them. We cleaned out the strawberries from those, and I don't have plans next year for these beds. I might do zucchini in the spring. I don't know, something that doesn't take a lot of maintenance. Something I can kind of plant and forget that takes a long time to grow. Probably, I could do sweet potatoes, but the deer will get them. So I would have to have something to protect it from the deer. We'll see. I'm gonna go ahead and get this covered up because we're going down to 33 supposedly tomorrow morning, which might be a little warmer for us. These wall beds tend to keep the plants a little warmer as long as there's no really cold wind on them. But I'm going to cover them anyway to prepare for those 20-degree nights that are coming. That's how my kitchen garden is looking November 6th. I hope that you're planning to grow a garden next year. Tell me what things you're thinking about, whether you're thinking about just spring, just summer, or maybe a fall garden too, if you live in a place where you get those edge seasons. What are your favorite things to grow? What do you eat the most that you could grow in your home? If I was not growing my spinach and kale right now, I would be spending over $5 a day just on those two things. So in a month, that's $150 just in the spinach, kale, and probably lettuce. So just growing those 3 things, not only are you getting food that's really good for you, you know the source, you know what hasn't been sprayed on them, and you're saving money. Do it. What are you going to grow?